The picture stones of Gotland are among the internationally most famous and I would say most important archaeological monuments from Sweden and perhaps from entire Scandinavia. These richly ornamented carved stone slabs dating to between 400 and 1100 AD, they constitute not only an exceptional piece of ancient Scandinavian art, but also a specific testimony of Gotlandic commemoration and Gotlandic identity during the late Iron Age. And there is nothing comparable in late Iron Age Scandinavia and beyond. Some of these stones are still standing at their original spots, for instance at ancient roads, widely visible. Others have been erected at burial mounds and cemeteries, and others are standing in groups, forming small cult places. And in the late Viking period, there are several picture stones which bear also runic inscriptions, commemorating, telling about the deceased and their relatives, and thus these monuments indicate that the Gotlandic picture stones are to be regarded as memorial stones. During the medieval period, well, hundreds of pagan picture stones have been reused in the churches as building material, incorporated into grave constructions, as you can see here. In the church walls, as thresholds in the churches, as steps or as slabs used in the floor. What we believe is that the church builders, that they tried to create a connection to the past by incorporating the pre-Christian stone monuments into their churches, transfer, in a way, the dignity of the ancestors into the new era. The Gotlandic picture stones, this imagery, it also offers very important information in terms of ship technology, which means rowing as well as sailing, but also about things like carriages, for instance. Male and female dress. Another topic is, of course, combat and weaponry. Hunting and fishing. There are scenes or narratives depicted which seem to represent ritual acts or ceremonies. On the left-hand side, you can see a warrior hanging in a tree, and next to it another person who seems to be slaughtered on a kind of altar. And on the right-hand side there is a group of warriors, and this figure seems to present a raptor, a bird of prey, so this could be a sacrifice. On the lower picture we can see a kind of funeral rite. On the right-hand side there is the depiction of a corpse laid out on the back of a horse. And on the left-hand side there is a group of mourners with their swords pointing downwards, which has to be regarded as a kind of gesture of mourning. So these are exciting insights into late Iron Age culture and rituals. The earliest Gotlandic picture stones, dating to the migration period between 400 and 600 AD, there are, for instance, depictions of human figures apparently struggling against, fighting against dragon-like, or in this case millipede-like monsters, dragons or demons. So This seems to be a mythological depiction, a mythological narrative, perhaps a deity or a hero fighting a dragon-like demon. So this depiction from the migration period, it echoes migration period myths in an oral period, long before the existence of any literary traditions in the north. And particularly on the Viking period picture stones, there are even motifs and depictions which can reliably be interpreted on the basis of medieval written sources, which means Old Norse, Old Icelandic sources. So there are more than 3 or 4 centuries in between. There are 2 picture stones. They depict a horseman who is riding a horse with 8 legs. And in the Edda, written by Snorri Sturluson in the 13th century, there is a description of the horse of the supreme god Odin. And this very horse is described as the best and the fastest of all horses. And it is described as 8-legged. So there is no reason to doubt the interpretation that this very horse is a depiction of Odin's horse Sleipnir. What we can see here is the depiction of a building. It's a kind of smithy. You can see the hammers and the tongs here. And you can see 2 beheaded corpses behind the smithy. A big bird in front of the smithy and a female figure. And this depiction, this motif, it corresponds very well to the narrative of Wayland the Smith. His story is told in the Eddic poem Völundar Kvidda. Is captured, he is fettered and even crippled by a foreign king, and he is forced to work for this foreign king and to produce jewelry for the royal family. But Wayland takes revenge by killing the king's sons and beheading them, and he throws the corpses into a pit behind the smithy. And furthermore, he takes revenge by making the king's daughter pregnant. And after that, he escapes in the shape of a bird. And that's exactly what's depicted here on the picture stone from the 9th century. So it is important to stress that the Gotlandic picture stones, they are a unique source material. There is nothing comparable in late Iron Age mainland Sweden. There is nothing comparable in the entire Germanic-speaking world during the first millennium AD. This iconography preserves pre-Christian Scandinavian myths and legends. However, the earliest picture stones, dating to between 400 and 600 AD, their main motif is a disc motif, ornamented with whorl patterns, spiral patterns, or rosette patterns, beneath these big disc motifs there are frequently antithetic pairs of animals, and in the lowest part there is a rowing boat. And these picture stones, these migration period picture stones, they are very, very well carved. So this is high quality stonemasonry, and it appears around the year 400 like out of nowhere.
För att söka svaret på gåtan, varför bildstenstraditionen uppstår här på Gotland på 400-talet ger sig Sigmund och teamet ut på jakt. Först till svenska fastlandet och sen till andra sidan Östersjön. Och så småningom ännu längre bort. Och till slut får de napp, men väldigt långt från Gotland.
As a matter of fact, there are quite similar picture stones, tombstones, memorial stones, steles from the Roman provinces, in particular from the Iberian Peninsula, which means present Portugal and Spain. And on these provincial Roman tombstones and steles, we have a central big disc motif, which is ornamented with whorl and rosette patterns. Beneath the central disc, there is a pair of two smaller discs. As on the Gotlandic picture stones, this is the one from Bro Church. And in the middle part, there is a crescent-shaped element on the steles from the Iberian Peninsula, which very much reminds of the rowing boat on the Gotlandic picture stones. So what we believe is that the Gotlandic artists, they were influenced by Roman stonemasonry, and they copied, they imitated, and they adopted the iconography of Roman steles and Roman tombstones, but they reinterpreted the iconography. So what's the crescent moon in the Roman iconography was reinterpreted as a rowing boat, probably the ship of the dead. All kinds of whorl patterns occurring on the migration period picture stones from the Isle of Gotland recur on the Iberian steles, which are dated to the 2nd or 3rd centuries AD. The Gotlandic picture stone, this tradition, and this is without any doubt, is very much influenced by continental traditions, Mediterranean traditions, and even by Christian traditions. And there you can see the big central disc motif, and there is this pair of two smaller discs encircled by serpents, and this is the tiny world tree, and these are the roots. And the horizontal line which divides the world of the living and the world of the dead. The ship of the dead and the beast. Right beneath the roots of the world tree. And then here, hidden but detected on the basis of digital imaging techniques, there is the horseman. The horseman, the hero or the deity who fights the beast and who traces back to Christian iconography, to the iconography of the military saints, to the equestrian saints. What you can see quite easily is the lens of the warrior. And it becomes obvious that this is a horseman of this kind when you compare it to the horseman depicted on the Martebus stone, because they look very, very similar. Two equestrian saints, so to say, fighting the giant serpent, Saint George and Saint Theodore, in a Scandinavian interpretation, one could say. There is, for instance, a type of Gotlandic picture stones called chest stones, which has been used for burials or for sacrificial rituals. Stones of that kind with a wave-shaped upper edge are very common in the Roman world. This is a kind of tombstone which is widespread in antiquity. comparing those stones with each other makes clear and obvious that there is a connection. This is a Roman tradition which was incorporated, which was adopted by the ancient Gotlanders. There is another type of Gotlandic picture stones. We call them dwarf stones because they are about 1 meter tall. And first it's a stylized ship, and in addition a water bird. And in some cases they occur in pairs, in antithetic pairs. And there are Roman grave slabs and tombstones from the early Christian period. Here we can see a pair of antithetic birds representing the souls of the dead, of the deceased, which are commemorated here. And these doves are flanking the monograph of Christ, the so-called Christogram. And what we believe is that the Gotlanders, they imitated and adopted. You can see that there is a long-necked bird, a water bird depicted, and in addition to X-shaped motifs or signs. And what we believe is that this is an imitation, actually, of the Christian symbol of the Christogram. This could be an evidence for remarkably early Christian influence on the Isle of Gotland. Even one of the most frequent and most important motifs in the iconography of the Gotlandic picture stones, the horseman welcomed by a lady with a drinking horn, interpreted, for good reasons, by most of the scholars as a depiction of a fallen warrior who is welcomed by a Valkyrie at the gates of Valhöll, seems to be influenced by Roman traditions. This depiction on a Roman sarcophagus dating to the 3rd century AD depicts the deceased as a horseman. Behind him there is a slave with a wreath of victory. And the deceased, the horseman, is welcomed by 2 female figures. And the female figure, the woman in the corner here, is holding a vessel, apparently a horn of plenty in her hands, and is welcoming the horseman in the world of the dead. On the very famous Viking Age picture stone from Klinte Hunninge, there is an armed horseman accompanied by a dog. He is welcomed by the lady with a drinking horn. Here is a figure with a wreath of victory and a combat scene. This is, without any doubt, this is a Roman motif. There are gold medallions depicting the emperor. In this case it is Emperor Magnentius, who is welcomed by a personification of the city of Aquileia, holding a horn of plenty in her hands. Here there is an 8-pointed star in front of the armed horseman. The armed horseman seems to be guided by the star, and he is welcomed by the lady with a drinking horn. This is a frequent motif in the iconography of the equestrian saints, Christian warrior saints on horseback. They are frequently depicted with a star. Byzantine amulets depicting not only the horseman, the armed horseman with the lance, guided by a star, as on this very Gotlandic picture stone, but also a female figure, a woman who seems to welcome the horseman or to guide him. And this motif appears also in the imperial iconography. This is a gold medallion depicting Emperor Justinian I. And he's also depicted with a lance, with a star, and there is a female figure guiding the horseman. So it is obvious that there are connections, that Mediterranean, that Byzantine iconography very much influenced the Gotlandic artist. It could be regarded as a little bit strange or surprising that there are so many continental and in particular Roman influences in the iconography of the Gotlandic picture stones. But this is by no means a big surprise, because the Isle of Gotland is located in the middle of the Baltic, and for this very reason there have been so many influences from all directions, not only goods but also ideas and concepts and thoughts arrived this very isle from all directions. We also have to keep in mind that there have been thousands of Germanic-speaking people, in particular Scandinavian people, serving in the Roman army, for instance. And they spent most of their lives in the Roman provinces. And we can see that also in the archaeological material. There are Roman coins, for instance, Roman luxury goods and things like that.
I gotländska, men också öländska gravar från den här tiden hittar arkeologerna romerska mynt och föremål som visar hur unga män reste söderut och tog värvning i det mäktiga romerska riket. Och när de kom hem igen tog de uppenbarligen inte bara med sig värdesaker, utan också traditioner och nya hantverk.
So it is by no means a surprise that there are influences from the Iberian Peninsula, from the Byzantine regions, from the continent and so on. The stone masons, they were influenced by Christian iconography, by Christian thoughts and Christian ideas. We do not know if there was perhaps an early Christian community on the Isle of Gotland. I don't know. We don't know that, but they knew about Christian ideas, or at least they knew about Christian iconography. And they used it